Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called The Complex Reason 100 Million Pounds Notes Exist. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, is a note, a bill, like in the bank, and instead of like a 50 or $100, or in this case pounds, it's 100 million. I do not understand why that would exist, because I would assume that if you have this amount of money and you want like a note, it's because you're like buying property probably, or you're, I don't know, just buying property. I think that's the only thing that I can think of, like you need that amount of money. But you would do like a wire transfer or a check, which already are quite outdated in a lot of places. So I'm very curious. Let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
This boring banknote may look like it's from the 18th century, and I wouldn't fault you for thinking
It looks like a check.
that. But believe it or not, not only is it from the 21st century, but it's also perfectly legal tender.
Okay.
It's called Titan, and it is a 100% real 100 million pound banknote. Yet that is a 1 followed by 8 zeros. Its cousin,
How much is that in dollars? Like 150,000, 100 million? Oh my god, I have no idea.
the Giant, is a 1 million pound banknote and is also legitimate, issued by the Bank of England, just like any other pound sterling banknotes you're familiar with. You might think the number
I'm not that familiar with either of them, but it's weird. I'm gonna go to the bank and be like, hey, can you issue me a 100 million pounds? No, of course not. But also, again, why? You would just like, they would tell you do a wire transfer or some sort of other way of like transferring a large amount of money.
of zeros in these notes is ridiculous,
Yes.
but they aren't even the largest denominator of bills
I don't even know if I can read this number.
seen in a country. This is Zimbabwe's $100 trillion note,
Would
equivalent
definitely
of a
no.
whopping 40 US cents.
Oh, that's bad.
And here is a 100 trillion mark from war-torn Germany,
Inflation.
equivalent
Bad.
to some 20 US dollars at that time. Hungary, Argentina, Yugoslavia, and Venezuela have had their big notes at different points in history. These banknotes are a result of financial crisis and hyperinflation, and although these bills have absurd values, many are basically worthless, and those
Yes, of course, because of the inflation. But I was thinking they're kind of like pointless in the sense that stuff like this, it really, like, it's, money is kind of worthless. It's not money, but the actual bills, as in the actual paper money, that's like kind of worthless, right? It's like, they'll tell you, hey, this is worth 200 million. And you would have to like assume, okay, well, I guess this is worth it, right? Like, it's kind of crazy if you think about it.
those that do have value are worth nowhere near as much as the number on the paper. There are endless reasons why a country would be pushed into hyperinflation, and we won't
Yeah, I'm stuck in the actual value of things. I think like wooden coins, like gold coins or some other kind of coin, worth more because the others are just like bills that I print and be like, hey, stamp on like a 50 million, and I'll tell you that's worth 50 million, and you have to be like, okay, well, I guess if you tell me.
discuss them here, but often when corrupt governments make bad financial decisions and banks irresponsibly start to print more money than is sensible, existing bills depreciate.
I'm not an economist. I think this is weird to me. Like, yes, I understand the point, sort of, but a part of me wants to be, why won't you just print more money? Like, well, I know it's bad, it causes this, but I do not really understand like why exactly. It's just like, it's bad, but just print more money.
Sometimes until they lose all their worth. Such notes are useless and almost nothing more than a fine piece of paper. So it might come as a surprise that the United Kingdom also has its own mega banknote. Britain hasn't had any serious inflation in ages. In general, pound sterling is a stable currency, meaning the 1 million pound Giant and the 100 million pound Titan are literally worth what they say they are.
Like a check.
While they're legal tender, the concept is bewildering.
It is.
Who would need a 1 million pound banknote in a digitized world where most transactions happen over computers? And if that's true, then why do these notes even exist? Turns out that the answer is not quite what you'd expect.
Does that do with the monarchy? No?
The Bank of England is the central bank of the United Kingdom, and it has a monopoly on the issue of notes for England and Wales. No other bank in England and Wales is allowed to print money, but this wasn't always the case.
Oh.
Until the middle of the 19th century, printing banknotes was considered the norm, as most of the UK's privately owned banks, big...
See my point? Why is it bad? Like, just print more money. Apparently it's good, so why are we doing this? Just people need money, print more money. It's kind of worthless, it's just paper.
Or small, issued their own bills of different colors, sizes, and featured personalities,
They're kind of...
depending on their local history.
I'm sorry, all of these are not... hopefully this is not representative of the actual bills. All of these look kind of ugly. They don't look like they have a lot of personality. They look old-timey. They look ugly. I'm sorry.
They were backed up by actual assets,
They don't have personality. They just look very flat and bland.
usually gold, to maintain the confidence of the people in the notes.
Well,
However, over time,
that's usually how it works.
banks weren't all doing it responsibly and were not able to back up the notes with actual assets, especially in times when the country faced a shortage of gold.
Okay.
When a series of
You
banks
have like a gold shortage? Why would you have a gold store? Maybe it's because everyone was making the coins. So maybe that's why they didn't have any gold.
collapsed in England and their issued banknotes created chaos amongst people, the government realized it needed
What
to
year is it?
restrict the note issuing powers of the banks. Through various banking acts along the way, and finally by the Bank Charter Act
Okay, it was
of
a long time ago.
1844, Parliament gave exclusive note issuing powers to the Central Bank of England. The English pound sterling issued by
I'm trying to think, isn't this the normal thing? The bank of one country prints the money, like the bills? Or I'm trying to think, like in the US, I don't know if like each bank just takes care of it. I actually have no idea of this.
the bank holds the portrait of the British monarch and are the most popular pound sterling notes in the UK. The Queen has appeared so many times on so many banknotes in the last 85 years that you can
See her
actually
age.
make a progressive timeline
Yes.
of her life. But it
I'm
goes
wondering how would they need to update the bill, but it's like, ma'am, it's been 10 years, you need to upgrade this. Your photo doesn't look like you anymore. Is it every 5 years, 10 years? There were a lot of them. Probably it was 5.
to let me know for this animation. In Scotland and Northern Ireland, the case was different. Their banks were relatively more responsible and were harmed much less in financial crisis over the years. So
Surprised by that. Well, Ireland, at least Ireland, they had like a huge thing, right? With the whole, well, we know about Ireland. So it is kind of, well, they were more responsible. That's kind of, well, the economy crisis didn't hit them as hard.
they argued there was no need for them to restrict their rights of printing their own money,
Okay,
which
sure.
they believed was part of their cultural identity.
Okay, I love
This
it.
guy named
It's my cultural identity that I should be able to print my own money. And they were like, okay, sure, I guess.
Walter Scott, a popular novelist and poet in Scotland, adopted the transparent persona of one of his characters and wrote letters and pamphlets to launch a caustic attack on the government proposal.
Isn't this like
Public
sedition?
meetings were held throughout the country to tell people that the Scottish banking system was doing just fine and the new banking measures would prove to be disastrous for them. It was
It's propaganda in the, what is this, 19th century? Crazy. Now, these days, you would have social media for this.
unjust to punish the Scottish banks for the misdeeds of their English neighbours.
Oh, it was
As
a
a
political
result
thing.
of the vigorous campaign, Parliament made exceptions for the region. Private banks in Scotland and Northern Ireland
They were like, you know what, it's fine. We don't want to get into this.
got to keep their note issuing powers, and Walter Scott got featured on some of the Scottish notes. That
Awesome.
sounds like a win, except now
Yes.
the government required these private banks to back up their paper money with an equivalent amount
Oh,
of
sure.
Bank of England notes as security to
I forgot about the actual purpose of this. Sure.
avoid overprinting. For every pound in currency these banks produced, another pound was deposited into the Bank of England for safekeeping.
Okay.
This
is that-
means that in the event of one of these Scottish or Northern Ireland banks collapsing and their pound notes falling out of
Oh,
circulation,
you have the other.
the same value of money was secured in the Bank of
It's
England.
back up. It's good.
Thus, holders of the uncommon pound notes had security that
I
their
like
bills
that.
were still worth their real value because the Bank of England was holding their money in English pound notes. Now, printing billions of pounds worth of notes and then holding this money as backup for centuries was a problem for the Bank of England, and
Oh, sure. I forgot. It's their actual bills. It's not like a mathematical thing that it just exists. hypothetical or it's just on like the cloud, in the banking cloud. Oh no, they actually needed to print it. That seems not a good thing. Like I can see why they would need like a check or something, because you would not, there it's a limit. We can't have physically like the space to actually store all these amount of bills.
In order to reduce the vault space used,
Yes.
they had a solution: compress an enormous value into just a few banknotes. These bills are the Titan and Giant, worth 100 million and 1 million pounds respectively.
I would assume you accumulate this over time and you would be, hey, I already did 1 million, so this is 1 million. Obviously, it's not like, probably doesn't work like that because they have more money. It's not just, oh, I have to wait till I get to 1 million. No, it's just probably they do this weekly or something and it's like, well, we already have 300 or 500, so it's like 5 of these.
Unlike smaller values of notes, Titans and Giants are printed internally and locked in maximum security, which explains their primitive design.
I get it, but also, who's gonna steal this? I'm not gonna go to the bank and be, hey, can I cash this? Or can I withdraw something? They were gonna be like, what is this? They'll alert like the police right away, so it's not really a lot of things that I can do with this.
Unlike the typical pound note or a dollar bill, Titans are printed on A4 paper and Giants are printed on A5 paper.
Okay.
Titans require signing by the chief cashier before they can become legal tender. Totaling over 8 billion pounds, more than 4,000 Titans and Giants have been printed by the Bank of England.
Do they keep this in a folder? I want to know. It's stored, but in a vault. But there's like folders, and we keep those in folders, basically. Which, you know what, makes kind of sense.
Titans and Giants are not in circulation for obvious
reasons. That amount of money.
No cash machine will ever dispense a 1 million or 100 million pound note.
And I'm sorry, but what if you have a million pounds? Why would you? No one's, oh, I want to cash in $1 million and keep them in my house. Like, who's going to do that? No one. If you have that amount of money, it's usually in other assets, but you don't have them in a bank, just in your account. That doesn't really happen.
Unless in the case of hyperinflation, like that of Germany after World War I. However complicated it may sound, this system has allowed Scotland and Northern Ireland to have their own banknotes in fantastic colors and designs,
I'm sorry, but they are,
which represent their culture and pay respect to their...
Yeah, these bills, they have a little more personality than the ones that they showed us in earlier clips. This, I'm seeing people, I'm seeing color, I'm seeing prettier things.
Personalities.
And no offense to the queen, but the queen, like, it gets a little old. It's going to be the queen always. But in this case, oh, we have more people. It's like, who is this guy?
After various consolidation and rebranding, currently there are 3 banks in Scotland and 4 in Northern Ireland that issue their paper money.
Well, that's a lot.
They are the only ones in the UK that do not feature the Queen.
Yeah.
In 2015, Scotland's Clydesdale Bank was the first to issue a polymer note in Great Britain. Ulster Bank from Northern Ireland recently issued the first vertical banknote in the country.
That's to me so strange.
These attractive, colorful notes also act as a marketing tool for banks, since the bearer is often reminded of these banks, and it's a major reason why banks don't want to give up their rights of printing money.
Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I would fall for this. I would like switch banks just because this is prettier. It makes me want to carry money, which cash, which I'm not really, like, I'm not a fan of. I'm more like, yes, let's do all of this like electronically. But these banknotes are making me rethink this. Maybe I would switch. I would like, you know what, this is actually pretty. I want to have these bills in my pocket, well, in my wallet.
All is not well, though. Scottish and Northern Irish banknotes have been subject to much controversy and confusion amongst English people.
Okay, it's confusing.
Like I said before, these bills are legit and authorized by the UK Parliament, which means they are accepted in all banks and post offices across the UK.
Okay, I was about to ask this. Can I go and pay for something with my cute, like there were like some bees or something? Can I go and pay at a whatever it is in London with this? Or they're gonna look at me weird and be like, what is this? We don't take this. So legally they have to.
They are widely used for day-to-day transactions of goods and services in their respective regions.
Okay, so it's normal. They're not gonna look at me weird. Great.
And also in England and Wales to some extent.
to some
However,
extent.
technically speaking, they're not considered legal tender
Oh my.
according to the law.
Well, that's a nightmare.
Legal tender is a technical term with little practical meaning and should
Oh.
not be confused with the legal or
Okay.
authorized nature of a banknote. Not being
The legal tender sounds quite legal to me and sounds quite legit, so I'll be worried about someone telling me this is not legal tender. I'll be, oh, well, I guess I messed up.
legal tender means that a person can refuse to take these notes to settle a debt issue, and he or she cannot be taken to court.
Oh no.
But as long as the buyers and sellers agree to use these banknotes for day-to-day transactions, there are no issues.
Unless until the day they choose not to, or you find someone that doesn't really know and they're like, no, I'm not taking this, and they're within their rights, which I do not like.
Ignorance and misinformation have led many businesses in England and Wales to believe that Scottish banknotes are less valuable
Exactly.
than English ones, so they look at them suspiciously. A survey conducted amongst Scottish people in 2014 found that 70% of Scots have had their cash payments rejected in England.
Okay.
50% of them were told that their money wasn't legal tender.
Of course, I could lose my job because I understand the cashier, it's probably going to be, saying to you, this looks weird. It doesn't look like something that exists. So I can't take this because obviously they're going to put it down on me and I can lose my job. But if you're the Scottish person, you're probably thinking, oh my God, this is legit. I swear. But maybe that's why the internet exists and you should probably look it up.
Another survey conducted amongst English
looks like
people in
Monopoly money.
2019 found that 76% were unable to identify where the Scottish currency was from, while 33% believed the notes to be counterfeit or fake. Many thought they looked like Monopoly money. All of this
colors.
causes much embarrassment and irritation to Scottish people when their paper money is
course.
rejected in England.
I think that creates division, which I don't think it's a good thing to have within the same country, because the Scottish people are going to be saying, oh, well, my money is worth less than yours when it's literally the same thing. This is right. Like, I don't like this. It seems they are right. It's well within their rights to be upset about this.
Several MPs from Scotland have raised objections against this discrimination of Scottish paper money
It's
in
true.
the past decades.
I agree.
The proposed bill to legally compel businesses in England to accept Scottish banknotes was rejected in 2009 and again in 2019.
Who's rejecting
Many
this?
argue that Scottish and Northern Irish banks should just use the same printed currency as England to avoid confusion.
I think people are not going to like this because obviously their sense of identity is very tied to this. So they're going to be like, absolutely not. No.
In the fight between banknotes, these regional banks seem to be losing the battle.
Oh no.
Last year, one of the 4 banks in Northern Ireland announced that they would gradually stop issuing their own banknotes and would switch to dispensing Bank of England notes from their ATM network.
No, that's
Another Northern Irish bank has withdrawn their 50 and 100 pound notes and now issue a Bank of England
That's how it
50
starts.
instead. If more banks follow this way, the giants and titans may not be needed to back up the value of uncommon notes anymore. For now, the titans and giants live on and lay claim to a great deal of fame. One £1 million note was sold for £69,000 at a specialist sale in London a decade ago, even though it is, in
I have questions. How was it for sale? Doesn't this belong to the country of England?
practical sense, just a piece of paper.
Correct. Because again, you can't cash in on this, so it's kind of worthless.
That's the small but curious tale of Britain's £100 million banknotes.
This was very interesting. I think it wasn't obviously because I mentioned it, like what would be the purpose of this? And it actually it's a really rich history and a really legit thing that I understand why they started like printing this bills and this notes. However, the outcome is making me a little sad because I definitely believe in the future this is going to disappear. And it's not so much this banknotes are actually going to disappear. That doesn't really make me that sad. It's like, well, it's a sad thing, but it's whatever a little bit. What makes me, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me it's the whole they're closing the other banks, especially the apparently they used some Irish banks as an example. They stopped printing their money, and they're saying, no, we're gonna start using the England money, the other bills that everyone's used to. I didn't like that because I think it really does, and maybe they feel different, and that's just me. This is just me speaking from the imagined perspective of an Irish or a Scottish person. But I think even because they actually mentioned it when the whole thing started, and why it started is that in Scotland, I can't remember who it was, but he was, you know what, I don't really like the idea of us using your own money, especially because if this, and it can only happen here in a country with, well, 3 countries. You have Ireland, and you have Scotland, and you have England, which are countries that, because of the history, there's a lot of course, they belong to one kingdom and stuff, and they are kind of cousins, but you wouldn't call an Irish an English person, or you wouldn't call an English person a Scottish, because it's not their nationality, it's not their identity. So of course, I think that's, it would be offensive. And I think that's how it starts. It starts with like the little things. And the little things, especially, it was Sir Walter Scott. He was one of the first, I would assume, a lot of people that were opposing this and be like, no, we want to use our own money because we're still maintaining our own identity. And to use, and I know that obviously the king or whatever, the monarch that's whatever monarch it is. Obviously it used to be the queen, but then that's the king or whoever it was in this particular time period. Of course they want to, yes, of course, because it's a king and stuff. But we especially again with the whole Scotland and Ireland situation when it comes to the crown, they're not that friendly with the crown. They are not that fond of the crown. So I would assume that it's, why are you forcing me to use the same bills that the English people use, and especially with the face of the monarch. I would assume that they weren't happy about this because we like, again, historically it wasn't something that they liked. And this is just sort of like rubbing salt in the wound. It's like, no, we already came to an agreement. I think this is just like stirring up tensions just for the sake of like stirring up tensions. And it can sound silly. It's just money. It's just a bill. But I think that, again, it's the little things, and that's how it starts. And it looked like this whole movement, and he started it, and he was proposing, no, we have to use our money, because usually when it comes to like the bills, the money bills, usually you have people, well, obviously there's always going to be from the same country, but it's going to be like historical figures, and sometimes, I think, yes, not usually former presidents, although sometimes, yes, in the case of the US, there are former presidents, but usually it's people that have been of some sort of significance for the country, even that's politicians or scientists or just people in general that have been important for this country. So I would assume, of course, and especially with the Irish and with the Scottish people, that they've fought like so hard to maintain their own identity, and still they are separate from the English, and they don't want to be mistaken as English. They fought really hard to maintain this. So of course they're going to be, no, we want to have our own people in our own bills, because I think that's probably having to do with national pride and the national sense of being Scottish or being Irish. So I don't like the fact that, they fought so hard for this. They managed to do it. It was successful. It's been probably 150 years, probably around 200 years. But now, lately, in this again 21st century, it's not really that. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to backtrack. And again, it's a little bit of like losing the battle a little bit. At least that's what I think. Again, probably they don't really see it as that, but I know that at least from the outside, it really does appear to me as you're losing the battle. And I think it's kind of like a sad situation. Obviously, because because in this case, Ireland, because they started using and printing the English money, it's not going to be like, oh no, now we're English. No, of course not. But I think that it's in the little things, and I don't really like it. I would fight very hard to maintain like that sense of identity. because it's like, well, I don't want to use like the bills with like the Queen's face on them. It's nothing personal against the Queen. I would just assume that the Irish are probably like, no, we do not want this, and the Scottish just as well. They don't want to use like the money with the face of like the Queen, just because historically there's been a lot of, you know, historically there's been a lot of battles and a lot of problems, and again, it's not been an easy relationship. So it is a little bit, no, there's not going to be another war, but I think it's a little sad that they've been losing this, and apparently they are losing it. I would have liked them to just continue, because it seems like it's a bit of a losing battle. Maybe they've overcorrected at some point, but I don't see this changing, because obviously once, and for the banks themselves, it's less of a hassle, because it's like, well, we are only printing like one particular type of money, and we don't have to do the whole, I'll have to like send to you the 200 million pounds, and it's like it's in like 5 or 6 or whatever it is, like the bills amount. But it's more of a hassle. There's someone in the probably high rankings of the bank that has to sign on the thing. And of course, for them, it's less. They will be like, "Yeah, we're super happy that we don't have to do this anymore." And on the English counter side, of course, they're going to be happy as well. They don't have to. Oh, we have to reserve like this huge amount of space in the vault for this banknotes. No, because it's all that's coming to us is just normal money, the one that we already print. So of course, they're going to be. Please get rid of it. Get rid of printing your money. Just print our own. So of course they're gonna be, yes, of course, stop. But I think it's kind of sad that the others are, well, you know, we have to, and it's just because of the people, because what they explain about the legal tender and stuff. But it's because people are just less informed. I think maybe the only way to save this is to inform people and do like this information campaign, probably especially obviously it's going to be within like England, and then trying to be informed, hey, this money is worth exactly the same amount of money as an English bill. It's cost the same, it's exactly the same, it's legal, you're not going to get fired, it's not going to be a hassle, it's not going to be anything, like the bank takes care of it, it's okay. So maybe the information campaign is the only thing that could save it. But I don't know if it's probably a little bit too late. I think this is like I'm being very dramatic about this, but I just think that it's the little things, and they deserve to have their own bills because they are different countries. So, and each country has its own bills, so they should definitely have it. But again, that's just my opinion. Their opinion as actual Scottish and Irish people may be completely different from mine. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!